start, and we are going to continue even further. It's my privilege now to introduce to you Mr. John Martinoni. He is the director of the pro-life office for the Diocese of Birmingham, and he is here today to speak in behalf of that diocese. He is a writer and also a columnist for the Catholic newspaper One Voice. Please welcome with me Mr. John Martinoni.
This was the oath he swore to our father Abraham, to set us free from the hands of our enemies, free to worship him without fear, holy and righteous in his sight all the days of our life. These were the words of Zechariah upon the birth of his son, St. John the Baptist, which we find recorded in chapter 1 of the Gospel of Luke. God made an oath that his people would be free to worship him without fear. And so we are, at least for now. But to our dismay, and to the shame of all those involved, the federal government of the United States of America, our government, is trying to change that. In 1776, the founding document of our nation, the Declaration of Independence, was written and proclaimed to the entire world. In that document, it declares, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." 15 years later, the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution of the United States of America, was passed. Amendment 1 states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof." God promised his people long ago that we would be free to worship him without fear. God has fulfilled that promise to his people in many ways, in many nations throughout the centuries. And one of the ways he has fulfilled that promise to his people here in the United States of America is through our founding documents, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. The passages that I just read from those documents echo the words of chapter 1 of the Gospel of Luke, that we will be free to worship him without fear, when they say that we have been endowed by our Creator with the unalienable right of liberty, and that Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise of religion. Yet, we find ourselves today of being in a position that our Congress, the Congress of the United States of America, has now passed a law, the details of which have been forged by the Department of Health and Human Services, which does indeed prohibit the free exercise of religion, a law which seeks to deny our unalienable right of liberty, a law which is trying to make us fear to worship our God according to the dictates of our conscience. As a Catholic Christian, my faith tells me that contraception, which is just a truncated version of contraconception, against conception, against life, is morally wrong. As a Catholic Christian, my faith tells me that sterilization is morally wrong. And as a Catholic Christian, my faith tells me that abortion is morally wrong. Yet Congress has passed a law, and the Department of Health and Human Services has devised regulations under that law that require Catholic institutions and that require individual Catholics like me to pay for contraception against my conscience, to pay for sterilization against my conscience, and to pay for abortion-inducing drugs, and even to pay for abortion itself against my conscience and contrary to our religious belief that all of these things are morally wrong. My religious liberty is being threatened. The religious liberty of every Catholic Christian in this country is being threatened. And guess what? If the religious liberty of one person in this country is being threatened, whether they be Catholic, Baptist, evangelical, Jew, Muslim, Hindu, or any other religion, then the religious liberty of every person in this country is being threatened. What this administration is doing is wrong. It was wrong yesterday, it is wrong today, and it will be wrong tomorrow. And if people of conscience do not stand up and let themselves be heard now, then they will find themselves without the right and without the opportunity to stand up and be heard in the future. President Obama, during the health care debates in Congress, told us that federal monies would not be used under the Obamacare law to fund abortions. He even signed an executive order that stated that very thing. No federal funding for abortions.
He lied.
Recently, however, he has said that those insurance plans that carry abortion coverage will receive federal subsidies. Your tax dollars and mine going to pay for the slaughter of unborn children. In addition to that, many people who are enrolled in plans that cover abortions will be forced to directly pay for abortions through a federally mandated abortion surcharge that will be assessed each and every month on your medical insurance premiums. It seems, and I hate to have to say this, I truly hate to have to say this, but all the evidence seems to point to the inescapable conclusion that the President of the United States of America, the President of the United States of America, was deliberately trying to deceive us when he said that no federal dollars would go to pay for abortion. Also, in a speech at the University of Notre Dame, a very sad day in the history of the University of Notre Dame, President Obama said, in essence, that he would respect the rights of conscience of every American. Yet, in spite of what he said, our rights of conscience are being trampled upon by this new law and these new regulations. Again, it seems the President of the United States of America was deliberately trying to deceive us when he said he would respect the rights of conscience of every American. I also heard, I don't know how many times, straight from the mouth of the President of the United States of America, that if I liked my insurance plan, I could keep my insurance plan just the way it is. Yet again, it seems the President of the United States of America was deliberately trying to deceive us when he said that if we liked our insurance plan, we could keep our insurance plan. Well, Mr. President, I like my insurance plan. And my insurance plan does not pay for contraceptives. My insurance plan does not pay for sterilizations. And my insurance plan does not pay for abortion and abortion-inducing drugs. So, Mr. President, why won't you let me keep my insurance plan? I want to wrap this up by talking about the Good Samaritan. We all know the story of the Good Samaritan. He helps a man who is left for dead by the side of the road after being attacked and beaten by robbers. Jesus uses this story to teach us how we are to treat our neighbor. Well, think about this. For the Good Samaritan to help that man lying half dead by the side of the road today. For the Good Samaritan to render aid unto that man today. He would first have to pay for someone's contraception, then for someone else's sterilization, and then for someone else's abortion before the Obama administration would let him render aid to his neighbor. That is wrong. The president has shown that his words are words of clay. They're molded to fit whatever situation he finds himself in. I hope he is listening to what is being said here today at rallies like this one all over the country, because words of steel are being spoken at these rallies. Words that will not be bent to fit the situation. Words that are not designed to deceive. And words that will not tear at the moral fabric and religious liberty fabric of our nation. Amen. Our God promised us that we will be free to worship Him without fear, and so we shall. So, Mr. President, know ye this. We will not fear to worship our God in accord with our conscience. And Mr. President, hear ye this. We do not obey man's laws when they conflict with God's laws. And Mr. President, hear ye this. We will not obey this law.